Hello, friend, and welcome. If you're new here, I'm excited to meet you, and if you're returning, I hope you're having a much better day than the last time that we talked. Today, I just want to focus on what is blocking us. I want to find out what's keeping us from being able to move forward, and I want to remind you that my readings do involve a little bit of shadow work and intuitive messages along with the tarot and oracle cards. So let's find out what is blocking us. Oh, these cards are hard to shuffle today. Which, the fact that I'm having difficulty shuffling these cards, because I always pre-shuffle my cards to make sure that they're ready for the reading, and I had no difficulty shuffling them before I started this reading to get into this energy. So that tells me like right away that there is a lot of resistance about something. And like, I don't know, it almost feels like we're constricting ourselves to stay in the same spot, to not want to move forward. But with that being said, let's get into the cards. Truth. So part of what is holding us back, and I feel like the fact that I had that weird shuffle is to help me understand this message more, is that we aren't wanting to accept the truth. The truth is clearly there for us to see. We have it magnified. We understand what the truth is, but we're not willing to accept it. We want to see the truth and we want to just reject it because it doesn't fit what we want the story to be. It doesn't fit how we feel it should go. And unfortunately, the truth is what it is. It's a fact. It's the truth is what it is. Like, you can't change the truth just because you don't appreciate it or you don't want it. The only thing that you can do in order to move forward is accept it and see how you are going to decide to take this information. Are you going to pivot? Or are you going to, have to strategize? Are you going to have to just accept it for what it is and see how you can move forward without pivoting? Like, it's up to you what you do, but denying the truth is not going to get you anywhere. Inner strength. And this card was originally reversed. I don't typically read oracle cards reversed, but I flipped it over and something told me that that was not right, so I'm going to keep it this way. Inner strength. So inner strength, this card is always about the fact that you have the strength within you, and I think the reason I have to keep this reversed is because you're not utilizing that strength. You know you can handle this. You know you can do what you need to in order to get past whatever this thing is that's keeping you. It feels like it's an event, first off. Like, what we're talking about is an event that you know what happened. Like, this isn't something that's going to happen. You already are aware of this. And if that doesn't resonate, then maybe this reading's not for you, and I'm okay with that. But what I'm getting is that you are completely aware of what this truth is, what this event is, what this thing is that happened to you. And instead of allowing yourself to say, I can rise above this, I can do something better, I can, make my decisions, I can allow this to, allow me to pivot or, transform or whatever it is that you need to do, you are just playing small. You've dealt with stuff like this before. This isn't something that you don't know how to navigate, is what I'm getting. You know how to navigate this. You just don't want to, because you're just like, why am I doing this again? The reason why you're doing this again is because it's a lesson that you haven't learned yet. It's a lesson that you keep repeating because you haven't learned how to do differently. Think of it this way. When you go to school, if you don't learn what you need to learn, you get held back a year. And you continue to stay in that grade until you learn what you need to in order to move forward. What's happening with you right now, it's not about you being held back. It's about you needing to understand that if you want this to stop, if you want to break this loop, you have to do something differently. You have to make different choices, not just now, but moving forward to ensure that you don't fall into the same pattern, the same routine. Here's another way to understand this. You are following a recipe, and every time you make this recipe, you burn it. Every time. And you keep doing the same recipe over and over and over again, wondering why it's burning. You never once tried to change any of the outside things. You never once tried to see if maybe the temperature is too high. You never once to see if it's your, cooking materials, if it's your pots and pans, if it's the ingredients. Maybe it's a bad recipe. Maybe the recipe itself is off. But instead of allowing yourself to see what can be done differently and how you can change things and not find yourself with the same burnt dish, you just keep following the recipe and expecting the same, or expecting a different result. Why? Okay, so now that I talked about you continuously doing the same thing, this isn't like the big overwhelming, like, why is this happening to me? No, this is literally you being asked why. Why aren't you showing up for yourself? Why aren't you doing what you need to in order to ensure that this won't happen again? Why aren't you sticking up for your boundaries? Why aren't you realizing your own self-worth? Why aren't you doing what you need to in order to help you to ensure that you don't have to do this again? Again, it's back to that recipe thing that I was talking about. It's, why is this dish burning? Looking for the thing that you can do differently to change, to pivot, to, whatever you need to do. Why? The why isn't why is this happening to you in the sense of like you're the victim here. It's more along the question of why is it happening to you? What are you allowing this to, what are you doing that allows this to happen? What can you do that changes this? So the why isn't like, why me? I'm the victim. The why is more of a constructive question of, okay, why is this happening? What is it that I can look at and see and maybe change things about in order to ensure that this doesn't happen? Maybe, again, I'm going to use that recipe example. Maybe you do need different pots and pans. I used to think I couldn't cook eggs. Come to find out, I just had a really shitty pan. And when I got new pans, literally baking eggs was the easiest thing for me ever. Like, that my eggs never stuck to the pan. I always had them, my perfect over easy eggs. I know how to make eggs, and I knew how to make eggs back when I had the shitty pan, but I didn't know that it was the pan until I switched pans. Now, granted, the pan that I was originally burning the eggs in and having the eggs stuck and always tearing up and everything, this was like a pan I had from college, and then my new pans came and much older in life, and I found out it was the pans. So what in your life is it that can change? What in your life is it that is different? What in your life is it that you need to do? Boundaries! I literally talked about that when I was talking about the why here, about you needing to enforce your boundaries. So here's an answer. Straight up. You need to change and enforce your boundaries. You need to have your boundaries in a way so that way they actually protect you. Not so that way you're a walking mat, not that so you're, just going all over the place. Your boundaries are there to protect you. But you also are responsible for your boundaries, for enforcing your boundaries, and if your boundaries aren't respected, you're responsible to make sure you leave. Yeah. You're not responsible for changing the other person's behavior. That's not what boundaries are about. It's your responsibility, if your boundaries aren't respected or cared for, to leave. So why are we letting our boundaries being walked all over and stepped on? And why is it that we refuse to think that life can be different? Okay, that's not true. I don't feel like you refuse to think that life can be different. I think it's more along the lines of you are expecting life to be different without you being the one to make the difference. That the difference is just going to happen to you. With you, again, using that same formula, using the same recipe. You're the one that needs to make the change. So Ace of Wands in its reverse position. Straight up telling me that you are making yourself small. You're diminishing your flame. Yes, aces are always about new beginnings, and right now I kind of see that right now you have an opportunity to have a new beginning. The thing here is, you're the one that's letting your flame be dimmed. And the reason why it's not burning bright and excited and, full of life is because you're letting doubts, fears, other people's stories, other people's opinions smother that flame. All that smoke is just creating it so that it's barely an ember. It's up to you. It's up to you to clear away those thoughts, to clear away other people's opinions, and to start putting yourself first, to start putting those boundaries in place so that way you can be you. If you want things to be different, you need to start being different. And that can be a hard pill to swallow. I know. I've had to, swallow that same pill. But guess what? I chose to be different, and my life got better because of it. And yeah, some people had to be left behind because they did not respect my boundaries. They did not understand who I was becoming, and they wanted to have the person that they could walk all over. But you know what? Other people stayed. Other people stayed and allowed me to grow and loved me through my growth. And then we have the Two of Wands in its reverse position. So again, this really is pointing out that it's your actions right now that we need to focus on, not your words, your actions. Wands is that action-oriented suit. And when I have the Two of Wands in its reverse position, this tells me, this is the Three of Wands in its reverse position. Back up. I'm going to talk about what the message was when I thought this was the Two of Wands, and then I will understand what the Three of Wands is. But when I was getting the Two of Wands in its reverse position, it was telling me that you had the ability to, be with different people, but you chose to follow the same plan, which is what we've been talking about this whole time. But this is the Three of Wands in its reverse position. So let's talk about what that means. And take that Two of Wands message because it came out for a reason. I know this deck. This is my deck that I've been reading for 20 years, so the fact that I misread this card had a purpose. The Three of Wands in its reverse position is one of those things where you understand that in order for you to move forward and do things, you have to receive something, okay? Whenever I talk about the Three of Wands, I talk about how, whenever you fill out applications, you can't really move forward until you get a response back. There's a caveat here. The Three of Wands, you can do things. You don't just have to wait and idle. You don't just have to lie and wait. You can still take care of yourself. You can still take care of yourself, your mundane, and all the things that apply to just you. Whether you get this response or not isn't going to change the fact that you have dishes, bills, laundry, anything else that you need to take care of in your life. Doesn't take away, actually, the fact that you still need to do stuff for your own mental health. You still need to have boundaries. You still need to do your own self-care. So right now, I don't see you doing anything. I see you literally lying in wait. And you know what? You can do that. That is your choice. But that is not going to be the change. And if that is the thing that you're going to do in order to change your life, you're going to repeat this process. Temperance in its reverse position. Irony being here that when I get the Temperance card, a lot of times I talk about making a cheesecake. We've already been using the recipe, metaphor here. So now we're going to up the metaphor to the cheesecake metaphor. Because when I get the Temperance card in its reverse position, it's you working to integrate the knowledge that you know into your life. But finding failures, finding aggravations, finding it to not work the way that you want it to. And when it's in its reverse position, the story I always tell is that you know how to make you have the recipe for the perfect cheesecake. Awesome. And every time you make this recipe, though, it doesn't turn out right. And instead of trying to troubleshoot what it is that isn't working right with this recipe, you just blame the recipe. In this instance, it's not the recipe's fault. In this instance, I ask you to see if it has something to do with your oven or the materials that you're using, or even to make sure that the ingredients that you have are the correct ingredients. So once again, the cards are coming back to asking you to be like, why? Again, not why me victim mode, but why isn't it working? What do we need to do differently? How can we ensure that there's a different outcome? Why do we keep allowing ourselves to do the same thing and expect something different? Yay! The Two of Wands in the reverse position. Oh my goodness. I love how Spirit is coming through so strongly with the messages and the cards and... Okay. Here we are. I read you the Two of Wands when I had the Three of Wands in its reverse position. Now we got the Two of Wands in its reverse position. I don't know how much more clear this reading can get. You need to do something differently. You need to put your boundaries down. You need to leave situations where you're not respected. You need to say no when you need to say no. You need to allow help to help you that is going to actually get you into a different circumstance. These cards are all about your actions, not about your words. I don't even care about your words right now. I care about your actions, because your words are what has kept you thinking that things are going to be differently, but it's your actions that said, we haven't changed a thing. We haven't done anything differently. And I'm sorry that this is coming across very rough, but Spirit is having me bring this message to you in this way. And I want to remind you that when I shuffled these cards, this deck specifically, you saw that the cards didn't want to get picked up into a shuffle. So this message is coming across in this way because you're already determined in your own mind, in your own way, that you're not going to do anything differently. What is the truth that you're denying? What is it that you keep thinking is okay that's not okay? What is it that you refuse to allow yourself to be, that inner you that knows how to just thrive, change, and be the happy part of you that you want to be, but instead you play small? These cards, I've never read in reverse. So what is it that you need to do differently? Because this message is coming across this way because it's what you need. You know what? I'm actually going to ask the cards what the why is. Not in the sense of like, why do we allow this to keep happening? I have that answer. I already know that. But maybe to know, you know, back to this recipe metaphor that we keep using, if it's the pots and pans, if it's, you know, the like actual materials itself, if it's the actual ingredients, if it's maybe the stove or the oven that you're using. Not that we're going to get a clear defined answer in the sense of like, it's definitely this, but maybe we will. I don't know. This reading has been very forward. But for certain, what I do know is this has something to do with your actions. So let's see what the cards have to give us. Addiction. Not surprising. And I'm not saying you're addicted to drugs. Addiction is more than what society has given us to believe addiction's about. And it doesn't have to necessarily be gambling either. There's a lot of things you can be addicted to. It can be whatever is allowing you to feel anything about something. So some people are addicted to drama. Some people are addicted to, you know, the joy of victimhood. Some people are addicted to, you know, just watching TV. You know, and there's the obvious addictions. Things I really shouldn't be saying on YouTube, but, you know, like there's the sex industry, there's, you know, drugs, there's a bunch of other things. And what this is about you needing to realize that if you want to break the cycle, you need to face this. And I'm not calling you an addict in the sense of like, you know, this is a label that you need to claim for yourself. This could just honestly be that you are escaping into something. Escapism in itself can be its own addiction. That is actually my guilty pleasure, is escapism. And there was a point in my 20s, and I'm not just talking about for a couple of years, I'm talking for like most of my 20s, I used escapism. I was addicted to being escapism. I was addicted to finding any outlet and letting it consume me so wholly that I did neglect myself. So, what is it that you are allowing to take over control of your life because it's easy, but it's not serving you. Wisdom. So wisdom's coming through, and this actually goes with this card 100%. You already know. You know the truth. You have the knowledge. You have the know-how. Temperance tells me this too. The fact that Temperance reversed and Inner Strength in reverse kind of coincide with the same issue here. We know what to do, and we know we can do it. And it's about you listening to that inner wisdom. It's about you doing something different. Wisdom doesn't come across loud and roaring like this reading does. Wisdom is soft. Wisdom is truth. Wisdom is going to ask you to do things differently. Are you going to let yourself do things differently? Premonition. I don't care if you're psychic, intuitive, non-intuitive. Premonition is knowing what's going to happen. And if you already know what's going to happen, it doesn't have to be with you being psychic. It's called pattern recognition, honey. I don't care if you're male or female. This is about you knowing what's going to happen because you keep doing it over and over and over again. It's like the recipe thing. You know you're going to follow this recipe. You know you've changed absolutely nothing, and you know it's going to burn. You don't have to be a psychic to know that. But you can change it too. And part of that scares you. Because I feel like in your dreams, in your mind's eye, in, a part of you, like there's something that knows that this can be different and has seen it. But the fact that that could be a lie scares you. Sovereignty. I love how sovereignty comes with the crow. Because sovereignty is you having your own power. Sovereignty is you reclaiming your power and being your own creator and you just doing what you need to for yourself. Sovereignty is about you instilling your boundaries and taking care of yourself and doing what you need to and telling people no and walking away from things that are no longer serving you. But it's with the crow. This is asking you to go within, to get to that dark side, to understand deeply inside of you, talk to your shadow. What is it that is holding you back from your own sovereignty? This isn't a peacock. This isn't, a jaguar or any of the other cards that I have that have sovereignty on it. This is a crow. So what is it? What is it that you aren't recognizing? What dark part of yourself, and I don't mean dark as evil. Darkness is not evil. Darkness is just creation and part of a wound. And yes, there are wounds in the darkness. But there can be beauty in the darkness too. What is it that you need to acknowledge? What wound do you need to acknowledge and work to heal in order to ensure that you can break this cycle? Because you can break it. But you have to do the work. You have to do the actions. Now I just want to ask the cards for encouragement. Because honestly, this is a tough reading. I'm not going to lie. It's a tough one to receive. Because it's a hard message. But it's one that you need to hear. And honestly, if you've made it to this point of the video, I'm proud of you. Because I've called you out on some hard things. Things that are hard to hear from people that you love, let alone from a complete stranger. So let's just ask for encouragement to help us change and make the changes, to actually do the changes that we need in order to live the life that we know we can. When I stop hiding, the world becomes gentler. This is about you using that inner strength, about stop making yourself small. When I stop hiding, when you stop becoming small, when you stop denying what is really there, when you start enforcing these boundaries, enforcing boundaries does ask you to grow. It asks you to be seen, not just somebody in the passive, not just somebody in the background. So when I stop hiding, the world becomes gentler. I am not too late. I am on my soul. I am not too late. I am right on soul time. This is a huge reminder, and I want you to understand this. I don't care how old you are. I don't care where you're at in life. I don't care what your friends and family have done at this point. I don't care if their success is so overwhelming that you feel like you're never going to be successful. None of that matters. Stop comparing yourself to others. What you're going through is your individual story, and your individual story is not dictated by what society deems, by what your family and friends deem. Your individual story is unique to you, and it's going to be powerful once you start doing what you need to do in order to put yourself first. It's going to be so powerful and so inspirational, it's going to help others. So you're not too late. What you're going through right now is a tough time, yes. But you know what? This moment, you watching this reading, you getting this far in this reading, listening to this truth, is proof that you are exactly where you need to be, and that this time you are going to make the difference. And understand that the difference might be sloppy. That's okay. You might regress a little bit, but still move forward. The cha-cha's part of life, honey. You can do this. I'm allowed to pause. Nothing sacred will rush me. This is so true. So true. So if you're somebody that struggles to know red flags, here's a really quick freaking answer. If they won't allow you to pause and to think, then they're not respecting you. Now, I understand that there are some things that, need to, like decisions that need to be made in the moment, but that's not every decision. The decisions that need to be made quickly and in the moment are like a 0.1% part of the decisions you should ever have to make in your life. 0.1%. Every decision you make should allow you to have pause. Should allow you to be able to decide whether it's something you want or don't want, if it's right for you or not right for you. And if somebody's not willing to give you that pause, that is a red flag. I'm not behind, I am on my own divine path. So part of what we're dealing with in this reading is you are feeling so guilty about the fact that you have allowed this cycle to last this long, that you, at some part of you, has already just kind of decided, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to continue to allow this path. I'm going to continue to allow this path to just live it, because what's the point? I'm never going to get better. I'm never going to be able to be at the same place my friends and family are. And stop. This isn't about a competition. This isn't about a race. This is about you understanding that what you're going through is your own story, your own path. And just because others around you aren't going through it, or they have more success, or whatever BS you tell yourself, understand that you are not behind. You are on your own divine path. You have 2 cards reinforcing this message. 2 cards here that are reminding you that, yeah, you would love to be farther along your path. You would love to be farther along the timeline where things are working peacefully. If you want to get there, you need to start doing. You need to start being. You need to start making the difference. You need to start acting differently. It is your actions. The only suit that showed up in this tarot reading is Wands. Wands are about actions. And you can do it. I know you can do it, because you want this change. You want it so deep in your heart. And now it's time for you to choose you. And every time you choose you, you're going to get yourself closer to where you want to be. And if you don't choose you every once in a while, it happens. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. It doesn't stop the momentum. Again, life is a cha-cha. Sometimes you gotta take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. What matters is that you keep the momentum going. That even though you fall behind, even though you fall backwards, even though you take that step backwards, it's okay. Because you can still choose to walk forward. This was a heavy message. This was a hard message, and I'm going to leave it with this. But I'm also going to tell you that I love you and that I know you can do this because you didn't just watch this whole reading for you not to succeed. If you watch this reading, you have everything within you that you need to succeed. It's just about you believing, and if you can't believe in you, I'm going to believe in you for you. That's all I got for you today. If you want to put something in the comments about your story, and if you just need that little bit of a boost, I'm here for you. Anything else? That's all I got for you. I love you so much. I really want you to do what you need to do for yourself, and I can't wait to hear you and see you succeed. I'll see you again soon. Bye.